Live again, coming to you,
Here we go. It's us.
whether you're ready or not, because we're not ready. So come on, get in here.
Well, no, that's the problem, Michael. We were ready. We were starting to riff before I hit the button, and
Well, that's because
the
you
old
said that you had a face that belonged on a bottle of iodine.
right, I faced that graced a bottle of iodine, and you had said you had never heard that before.
I'd never heard that
And
before, and that reminded me of my favorite drug, mercurochrome,
oh, it used to have that little,
the little
uh,
dropper, the glass
yeah, the little glass
applique.
dauber.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like a little dauber, and it would come down from the cap, and you'd take the mercurochrome and you'd put it on your cut, and it would look worse than it was because the mercurochrome was very
bright red.
smartly blood red.
Yeah.
So it looked like you had been. The last time I used mercurochrome, I was going to a a Halloween party in the Oakland Hills with our friends from 14 Carats Jewelers. There's a blast for you in Berkeley, and um, I dressed up as an accident victim, and I found in an old first aid case that I had a bottle of mercurochrome. So I just, put it on the bandages, and
And it was still red,
yeah, it was still red. Oh, that thing's got a shelf life of like 5,000 years.
and a
If,
good
if
the good 5,000 years.
Right, and if they dig people up 4,000 years from now and do carbon iridium tests on 'em, whatever they do, the only thing that they'll be able to really know for sure is that they had mercurochrome spread on their skin at some point.
This person at one point in his life engaged in first aid at home with mercurochrome.
Well, that was the thing. My mother would put that on just about everything, but she was always careful never to put it near um, my mouth or my
Don't drink
sister.
mercury. Don't drink it very often anyway.
And then there was iodine, which was another.
They both stung.
Yes, both. And what was
Both.
my little song? Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling iodine. You don't taste good with the cookie, but for boo-boos, you're just fine.
And I had never heard that song before. I'd heard the tune, but never the lyrics.
Well, I got that from an issue of Mad Magazine. You know how they used to do those song parodies in Mad
Oh
Magazine?
yes, of course, sung to the tune of.
Exactly, exactly. Um, I for whatever reason, that particular little song has stuck with me all these years.
And William N. Gaines is pleased to have been part of your childhood.
Oh, it was a huge part of my childhood. Mad Magazine, Cracked Magazine,
Cracked magazine. Yep.
um, Drag Cartoons, and Cartoons, which was a the other two were done by a guy named Pete Millar out of Southern California. I think he was in Torrance actually, and for a while, Ed Big Daddy Roth was doing cartoons for him, but that was like an automotive equivalent of Mad
Cracked
Magazine.
magazine. Yeah.
Yeah, if you bought Hot Rod magazines, you were likely to buy drag cartoons. It had nothing to do with how you dressed. It
It
was
had to
all
do
about
with driving fast in a straight line, or hopefully a straight line.
exactly. And those and they didn't do song parodies, but they did it. They put out a book every 2 months. A magazine of cartoons and parodies and stuff like that. It was pretty good stuff. I haven't seen a copy of one in years. I know that there's a Facebook page that's dedicated to them. Mad Magazine. I actually have copies here somewhere. They used to put out those pocketbooks with all the lyrics to all the songs in them,
Yeah.
and I still somewhere
Oh, come
my
back,
storage
Vinny.
locker.
There you
Uh,
go.
my what do you call it? My pocketbook copy of Mad Magazine sing along.
Oh
I
God.
loved it.
Well, what
I
do you
love
think happened the day that Bactine came out? The people who made iodine and mercurochrome were sitting at their desk and said, "It does what we do, but it doesn't sting." Well, if it doesn't sting, how do you know? How do they know it works? You say they don't care if it works; they don't want it to sting.
well, if I remember right, Bactine did sting. Bactine, you put it on and it stung, and then after it stopped stinging, mother always used to say that was what meant it was working against the germs that you could possibly be getting. Who were you not to believe your mother in those days?
So what do we use today? Triple antisporin salve,
Uh, 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 what is that? What is that stuff?
Umectrin, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, it's Neosporin.
There you go.
Yeah,
And all the variations of it.
Neosporin.
It's a triple antibiotic salve.
Right, which
Some of
comes
them have painkillers in them.
right now. Did you? Yes, they have them with. What's the lowest painkiller you can get? Lidocaine, I guess, is the lowest without a without a prescription. So they slap a little lidocaine in there, and you put it over the injury, and you're good to go. And it's supposed to block infection. I don't know. I'm not a medical expert, but I know it costs. I know it costs like $6 a tube, and when you
Yeah.
use it, it does tend to make the boo boo go away faster.
Boo boo will go way faster. I
The
find
boo
that
boo,
I get examined by my grandson, especially
yeah.
for owies and boo boos. What happened here? He'll say. What's this? I don't know. I don't remember. I bumped something. Does it hurt? Do we need to treat this further? No, no, no. It's fine. What
Do
happened
we need to,
here?
we need to rush you to the emergency room? No, I can take care of that in the kitchen. Come here. I remember when I used to get, I'd get when I'd work at my father's gas station, I'd invariably get cut, some kind of cut or something. I mean, it's just you playing with
An
wrenches.
abrasion. Yeah. Take
Yeah,
off
you're
your
gonna get
knuckle.
something. And my father's method of first aid was take you over to the sink, run the cold water on it, and then hit it with um, lava.
Baraxo.
Yeah, that soap that well, it was either the bar with the lava or they had the hand soap,
Right.
um, Baraxo, which was in the container, and do that. And after, let me tell you something. After rubbing the Baraxo over it 3 or 4 times,
No germs. No
no,
germs were
no
left.
germs, no living skin, no anything. It was all gone.
I have
Now,
a question for you that'll take you back to those days.
yes,
What was the first record, even a child's record, that you had that you remember? Your first record.
uh, I only have eyes for you.
Ooh, good start.
Is because I like the shabop shabop. I mean, that was the first record I remember listening to driving in my father's car, and it was somewhere out in Staten Island. I think we were looking for fireworks or something. This is probably 1961 or something like that. So I'm like 6 years old, 5 years old, something like that. Um, that and I've been working on the railroad
By
with
whom?
the kids song. So whoever, actually, my father sang it to me mostly, but those are the two pieces of music that my earliest recollections of.
Well, I had a Hopalong Cassidy record that I can't remember what he was singing. It was some sort of Hopalong Cassidy song. I can see the record, but I can't tell you what was on it. But the first one I purchased for rock and roll use was Heartbreak Hotel on one side by Elvis Presley, and I think the B side was Loving You.
Oh, loving you. I go. Yeah, the first record I purchased. Wow, I have to think about that for a second. Well, actually, I think the first record I actually bought was a Beatles record,
Single.
a single. Yeah, they used to have those 3 for 49 cent single, the cutouts in
Hmm.
the five and dime,
And they had the
which
Beatles in the cutout.
excuse me.
They had the Beatles in the cutout section.
They had the Beatles. It might have even been a Beatles on VJ.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, I think it was something, and I can't remember if it was "I Want to Hold Your Hand." I think it was "I Want to Hold Your Hand." As a matter of fact, now that I really think about it, but that was the first record I ever bought. I got 3 records for 49 cents, and they had the hole in them. That was, the sign of a cutout or a promotional record, so you couldn't take it back to the real record store and get your money back for it. It's not that any record store ever gave you your money back, but they really did that so that the record store wouldn't go and buy a bunch of them and then return them to the distributor
Right.
and get
they,
full credit. It wasn't the people they were worried about; it was the people that ran record stores who,
they knew them all. They knew them all too well.
had their quirks. Had their quirks. Oh man, what was so Elvis? So for you it was Elvis. That's interesting. That for you it was Elvis, and for me it was the Beatles.
Yep.
And
And
I
I
remember,
bought a bunch of Elvis in those days.
yeah, I bought some more Beatles. My dad had my dad smoked Lucky Strikes, and you could send away Lucky Strike wrappers or seals or something like that for records in those
Good.
days. And my
Wow.
dad had the complete Mitch Miller library.
That's nothing to brag about.
The sing along with Mitch albums that
Oh
had all
yeah,
the words
Columbia
on
Records.
on the gatefold, which actually were quite helpful because they had the words to the songs, so you could actually sing along with them.
You were told to sing along. Here's how.
Here's the words. All you needed was a bouncing ball, and since you didn't have one of those, just sing along, follow my lead. And my father loved to sing. My father would sing in the car, even if we didn't have a radio in the car. He would just sing. He just loved to sing. He loved to sing old Italian songs. He loved to sing. Um, he just was he was a singer. He just always sang. Even when in his older years, he'd get in the car and wouldn't even turn on the radio. Sometimes he'd just sing. He just loved it.
Not turning on the radio is a pretty good idea these days.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing not to turn on the radio. I couldn't. There was a point where I had to turn off the radio yesterday.
What happened?
Did you get a chance to see the Seahawks game?
No, we had the Rams game, and between the Seahawks and the Rams, they scored a total of 6 points.
Yeah, the Seahawks game was thoroughly sickening. It was. Now, I'll give Baltimore a lot of credit. They have a great.
They caught on fire just at the right time. Not a good time for the Seahawks, but a great time for the Baltimore team.
Right. They have, they're quick, they're big, and they have incredible sense of where the ball is going.
They could smell blood.
Yeah. And listen, if you spend time in Pittsburgh, you're taught to hate Baltimore. It's
They
matter
don't
of fact,
want. They
truly a
don't want.
rivalry where the players actually don't like each other. I mean, the players talk crap about each other the whole week before the Steelers and the Baltimore game. And so I didn't think that the Seahawks would go in there and do much. I've lost, I started at the beginning of the year to like Geno.
Everybody
And,
likes the winner.
but the reality is he is what he is. He is who he is. You know, um, he's a guy who I firmly believe will not get you to a Super Bowl. He'll win games for you, but when there's pressure on, he does something to screw it up. He finds a way.
And it comes naturally, right?
I don't know if it comes naturally or what. I mean, he seems like a nice guy, and I mean, I remember him from West Virginia, but that's what I remember. He had the same thing going on there. Um, I don't know. You can't consistently. You could see the whole after he threw the interception. You could feel the air go out of the Seahawks balloon,
Yeah.
and when they came back in the second half, I was thinking, well, maybe they'll do what they've done before. They seem to be able to come back in the second half, but man, when you're working, third in the parking lot, it's not an easy game.
They made one conversion on third down the entire game.
Yeah,
You can't win
not
that
in the
way.
first. I don't think they made one in the first half. I might be wrong. They might have made it toward the end of the first half. I actually,
So did you get to know the punter pretty well?
yeah, yeah. I just I feel bad because again, Baltimore is a good team. They have a great defense. I think they're number one in the NFL in a lot of categories. But that's what you're going to see in the playoffs.
You're going to see teams better than yourself.
You're always going to see teams, especially if you don't get that bye. You're going to see teams that are hot. It's just, and I'm not going to blame everything on Gino because I think there's other parts of that. There's penalties that they seem to get, stupid penalties that they
How
seem
about the
to.
offensive line? Can they protect him?
I think they can. I mean, they had a couple of injuries, got a couple of guys coming back from injuries, but I don't have a lot of confidence in them at the moment. Now, maybe they'll get better as the season rolls on. They've had their bye week, uh, but boy, oh boy, it's just bad decision making. Um, you know, and maybe part of the offensive line is part of it. Maybe Gino feels under a lot of pressure, but he's felt under a lot of pressure now 2 years when they've had an offensive line. I mean, it's you can't keep throwing the ball to double coverage. You're going to get burned.
I don't see the point of ever throwing it into double coverage.
Well, there's guys that think that they can force the ball in there, that they are good enough to put it right, to thread the needle, to put it right in there. And I guess in some cases there are guys that are good enough. Um, you know, I mean, but he's not one of them.
Who's your backup?
The kid they got from Denver, who I thought was probably going to be the quarterback of the future, but for whatever reason, the Seahawks don't just have him as a backup. Maybe they think he's learning. I don't know what they're thinking.
Somebody pointed out the other day on television that the NFL does not respect the backup quarterback. They don't give him enough snaps to be ready. They don't give him enough attention for them to know the game plan. They don't give him enough tutelage to make them better. They don't allow them to learn. They're not following their learning curve. They're not making sure that they know as much as the starting quarterback, because at any time it can happen. But the league doesn't play. The league doesn't respond that way. The league doesn't prepare that way. And so when you bring in the kid from Brigham Young, whose uniform has never been dirty, wears the same uniform every week, it's absolutely pristine, clean, then he's not ready. He's the backup. He's the man there. But the backup guard, the backup tackle are more ready than he is.
Well, I would take that on a case by case basis because you can take, I mean, some teams that's true for. Some teams that works out. But other days, other teams that you look at and you say, wait a second, you know, the Jets invest how much money in Aaron Rodgers, and he goes down in the first 5 minutes of the game, and all of a sudden, you have another guy in there that's a backup, and he actually isn't doing bad. He's not horrible.
Some
Now,
teams have had great luck with their backups.
yeah, he's a tutelage. I mean, we forget that one of the greatest quarterbacks ever to hit the field in Tom Brady was a backup quarterback to Drew Bledsoe.
And nobody had the faintest idea who he was
I
or what he
remember
was capable of.
the day he started because we followed Drew Bledsoe here because of his being from Washington State, and
Where he grows wine now, or he grows grapes.
yeah,
He can't grow wine. He grows grapes and makes
yeah, he
wine.
grows grapes and then he tries to turn the grapes into wine. But so I don't know if I could I guess it depends on the team. If you have an established quarterback with a team, it's probably going to be harder to get reps. But if you are a smart coach, you're having. I mean, the reason they're saying that the kid with the Jets is doing good is because Aaron Rodgers is tutoring them,
Yep.
and you get a lot of cases in these situations where the quarterback is not threatened by the backup quarterback, and that's a lot of times what it is.
Yes.
You
And
don't want,
Aaron Rodgers had been through all that
yeah,
as a backup.
yeah. So I don't know that I completely agree with that. I think it's a case by case basis. Now, I haven't been over to training camp, so I don't know exactly what Drew Lock is. And that's the Seahawks quarterback. He came over in the Russell Wilson deal, but I thought that he was going to be the starting quarterback on this team. I thought that was expressly why they got him. Um, I thought that he was a major piece of that trade. I probably thought a little wrong because it obviously turns out that the draft picks were a bigger piece of that trade.
Right.
But at the time that they got him, Geno Smith was the backup to Russell Wilson.
And the job for starter was open.
And it was open, and they were looking for, I still think that they were looking up until they signed the contract with Geno in the offseason for more money than he probably deserves. But God bless him if he can get it out of him.
He can get it out of him. How long will he get that check? However,
Well, I don't know offhand what the contract is, and I'll look it up. But I'm sure there's a certain amount of money guaranteed there.
oh, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I'm positive that he's not, his checks aren't going to be bouncing. So the Seahawks got to stick their tails between their legs and or their wings between their gut and come home and get ready for next week.
I don't know what's going to happen with the local team, the Rams. They cannot win. And I have a feeling that they're headed for the same place the Raiders were just last couple days ago. Fire everybody, clean house, start all over, get ready, be a team. Don't be guys with wide receivers. You got Cooper Kupp and Tua Lapopo, whatever his name is, and the quarterback can't get the ball to him, and he doesn't have time to throw anyway. So the line's breaking down, the quarterback's breaking down, the receivers are there, but they can't get free. It's an ugly mess, and the Rams go on the road and score 3 points. That's not going to beat anybody. That's not going to beat the Air Force Academy, for crying out loud.
Well, Yeah. Well,
I
luckily,
expect a lot of heads to roll.
well, hopefully it'll roll the week of the 19th because that's when your Seahawks will go down and visit the Los Angeles Rams.
They're coming here.
They're coming to Southern California, yes. To where did they play? SoFi Stadium.
SoFi.
SoFi. They have the Commanders do the Seahawks in between at home, and
They can beat the Commanders, but it's not going to be easy.
yeah, they're not an easy team to beat. And then you have the 49ers up here for Thanksgiving.
Can't tell you about that yet. The greatest thing to have happened to 49er football happened this weekend.
They
They
had a
didn't
bye.
play. Yeah,
Yeah.
they had a bye.
Matter of fact, they get the 49ers 2 times in 3 weeks. They get the 49ers, they get the Cowboys, and then on the 10th of December, they get the 49ers again.
Cowboys are better than I thought playing against the Eagles, but the once the Eagles got the leg up, it was all over. It was too tough. By the way, speaking of great games, I hope you saw Washington and USC.
I did not.
Well, everybody scored on every possession all the way through the first half. It was crazy, just craziness. It was a
Yeah,
beautiful
I
game.
did
Beautiful
not get a
game.
chance to see the game. So I heard it was a hell of a game.
Hell of a game.
Listen, the Huskies aren't. The Huskies have every right to say that they're an elite team. They are.
They presented as now. I've seen a lot of USC games this year, of course, because I live in Southern California. But the fact that the Huskies came into their stadium and went toe to toe and then took the lead and kept it was really remarkable to see. Really remarkable. Crazy game.
Well, I've been touting their head coach since they hired him. I think he
DeBoer.
is DeBoer. Yeah, I think he is. He is one of those kind of guys that come along once in a generation, and will wind up staying. He's already turned it into a premier program. Now he has the chance to turn it into an elite program, especially with the change of conferences. Although
Right.
again, that's an open book there of what that's all going to be
We'll have
like.
to see what that looks like as we go game by game.
Right, but I have nothing but good things to say about him and that team. They seem to be a disciplined, well trained, smart bunch of players,
And they execute.
and they execute. And you don't hear about them hardly anything about them in the news. It's not like the zoo it was here in the '90s, where every week it seemed like a Husky was getting in trouble, some kind of trouble, and there was, Camaros in the parking lot by the boathouse, and the guys from Kansas City, and the whole mess.
And I was in line to get a Camaro. It never happened. Something went
Yeah,
wrong
I,
with the
I was in
supply
the end
line.
line. They asked me if I wanted a Nova, and
Ooh.
I said, "Oh, that's okay. I got this other thing coming up here that I'm going to try." Uh,
It's called a bicycle.
but listen, he has put Washington after a series of really failed head coaches. Since they bounced Neuheisel, and he was a failure, not so much on the field as he was off the field.
He
Jim
organized the gambling game.
Yeah, he made sure that everybody was making money. Jim Lambright, I thought, was an excellent coach for that team. He just, he wasn't, he didn't, he didn't present the image that the athletic director at the time wanted to present. I think Jim Lambright could have kept that team a winning team for many, many years to come, but he just fell out of favor with Barbara Hedges.
And can the modern coach of what was once the Pac-12 compete in the portal game and bring? You have to have a hot team to bring people to your like. There's guys from Oregon State who had a big game this week and beat Colorado that are from all over the country.
Yeah,
the portal has worked for them. The portal has worked for the Huskies, and it must continue to do so to be competitive year after year.
well, that's when that's why your coach becomes much more important. I mean, not that he's not important to begin with, but because the coach has to be attractive and competitive. He doesn't have to just be attractive. He doesn't have to just sit in somebody's living room and say, "Give me your son." He's got to make it attractive for the player, the family. That's why Tommy Tuberville isn't coaching anymore because him.
Soon it'll be the reason he's not a senator anymore, too.
Only if God is listening.
I think God works a lot in Arkansas because they need so much help down there.
They need a lot of help. They need a lot of. You mean Alabama?
Whatever. I thought it was from Arkansas.
I mean, the whole freaking southern states need help. There isn't a state down there that's doing well, is there?
But Georgia's trying to make a turnaround. They have some problems.
Yeah, Georgia is probably the best out of the bunch, but it just really seems to be I don't know. There seem to be a lot more Tommy Tubervilles down there. I was watching what was it? Oh, did you see the back and forth between George Stephanopoulos and one of the fine Republican senators from North Carolina?
I missed it.
It was Stephanopoulos, to his credit, was calling his senator out on this congressman out on his the Republican line right now seems to be that the Office of Budget Analyst for the Congress, the Congressional Office of Budget Analysis, don't know what they're talking about, except when it fits the Republican Party. Then they know. And they're so stupid that they'll tell you in one paragraph, they'll tell you two different things. You can never trust that office, but you have to, but you can always trust them because they know what they're talking about. And Stephanopoulos is among a bunch of hosts this weekend who looked like they just had enough with that and just started calling them out, saying, how can you 1 minute say that you don't trust anything they say, and then the next minute say,
trust them. They know what they're talking about.
They know exactly, we got to trust them. And the congressman was left stammering.
Hamana?
He was stammering. I'm telling you, it was such a great performance because this guy couldn't figure out what to say after 5 minutes with Stephanopoulos.
I like it. I wish I'll search for that on YouTube.
Yeah, search that up. It's on YouTube, and it was again, we people are talking out of both sides of their mouth. You can't trust them.
They're trying to stay even with Trump, and it's not easy to do. What did he say today? What did he do today? What do I have to believe today?
Well, Trump is right where he should be today, sitting in a courtroom,
pissing off the judge.
Right. Last I saw, and now I had turned the sound down, but from what I was looking at, he was back to calling the judge names.
Yep.
And I wish this judge had the nerve to, let him sit in jail for a couple hours.
A couple of days would be nice. That's 7 days.
Yeah. It's just what he gets away with, no other human being on the face of the earth.
That's what the judge would do if it was Bernie Berkowitz sitting in that chair.
Yeah. If it was Vinny Riccici or Michael Knight or you name it sitting in that chair, we'd be off in jail.
Contempt of court, follow me.
Right. We'd be getting the evening tube steak special. But and they raise money off of this stuff.
Yeah, it's all just profit.
The poor slobs that, although I don't call them poor, I shouldn't be calling them poor slobs because they're not poor slobs. They're brainwashed people. The brainwashed people reach into their pockets and they send them 25 or 50 or, take $20 a month on the third when my Social Security check comes.
Take it all. I know you're going to do well with it. I know
The
you'll
same
use it
Social
well.
Security check that he's going to cut on him if he ever gets to be president again. I pray to God that doesn't happen.
Well, the polls are a little weird right now, but bad polling is how we got him in the first time.
Yeah. I just saw a note here, and I just want to get back to it if I could find it. It appears that the Mets and the Cubs have hired new managers,
Whoa! Anybody we know?
but not the not. Let me go to the MLB page because I got a text, and I'm not 100% reliable. It's not 100% reliable source. So let's just check this out. But it appears that the Cubs hired the guy that three of them. Okay, so we have three. Let's see. It appears that Greg Counsell, who was the front runner reportedly for the Mets job, will go to the Cubs.
So Chicago's got a man.
The Mets have hired Yankees bench coach Carlos Mendoza.
Okay.
And the Cleveland Guardians have hired Stephen Vogt.
VOGT?
VOGT, who I'm pretty sure that he was that he was a catcher.
Yeah, he caught for the Giants for a year.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Was he the guy that they brought in when what's his name was hurt?
Maybe.
Buster Posey, remember he was out that year. Was Vogt the guy they brought in?
I think so. He had a good year too.
Yeah. Listen, I always like. Listen, I like catchers.
What about Mendoza? What's your reaction?
I don't know that much about him. The last time the Mets hired a Yankee coach to be the manager, it was
Casey
Yogi
Stengel.
Berra.
Oh, Yogi Berra, my God.
Yeah, Yogi Berra came over in 1965 from the Yankees as a player, and then in '73 they made him. They made him a coach in '65, and then in '73 they made him the manager.
And he'd go out to change the pitcher, and the people in the stands would say, "He doesn't walk funny." Yes, he does. He walks funny. No,
I think he'd always send Joe Pignatano out to do. But anyway, he's been the bench coach under Aaron Boone, for the past 4 seasons. Native of Venezuela, minor league coach and manager, player in the Yankees and the Giants organizations.
Well, he's seen a lot. He's seen a lot in his 4 years with the Yankees.
Yeah, the only thing that I wonder is two things here. Why didn't Counsell? I mean, he's friends with the head of baseball operations, David Stearns, who came to the Mets from Milwaukee. So why didn't Counsell take the Mets job, or was he offered the Mets job?
Sometimes hiring a friend is not the best idea.
Yeah, yeah, I know, but in baseball, it's done pretty much all the time. So, and secondly, the Yankees haven't been all that successful over the past how many years?
They've had a really rough row of it, actually. A pretty
They've
rough
not
go.
been that successful since Boone became the manager.
They've
To
had a
the
lot of woes.
Yeah, to the point where many people in New York are calling for his firing, as well as the general manager, Cashman.
But would the people of New York be happy with any of these three choices as the new manager?
No,
Boone out and one of these three guys in.
no, the people will be happy with one thing:
Winning.
winning. That's all people. And even when you win,
You
the
got to
people
keep
in New
winning.
York are not going to be happy. They're always going to. I mean, and it's not just New York. I mean, I remember the year that the Mariners won 116 games. People would call up and the major complaint. Excuse me. The major complaint about the Mariners was the way we phrased games over 500. That was what people called up about. They would say, when you'd say they're 35 games over 500, people would call up and argue, no, there are only 17 games over 500 because you have to take it to 500 and go from there. Instead of 35, they're really only 17. And that argument went on to a point where one night I almost threw the microphone out of the press box. I was so frustrated because it was an idiotic argument.
Are you in
But,
first place or not?
yeah, they were in first place by 26 games. I mean, they clinched the division. They would have clinched it on September 11th.
But
there was a little problem that day. But they were, they were 10 games ahead by the middle of April. But yet people found things to complain about.
But those 10 games ahead, there are only 3 games because the 10 are subtracted from the 500, of which there was 400. So you're wrong.
Yeah,
you're wrong.
See, that's the problem with Seattle. Is you get all these people that went to college.
What college did they go to?
One the Ball Busters University. Oh my God, was it? It was. I'm telling you, I never had a job, and I love you know me, Michael. I mean, my dream, my aspiration was to do a pre and post game show for a Major League Baseball team.
Right.
I was, that was to me, I've got one of 30 jobs in America. I mean, it was beautiful. But I got to tell you that there were some nights when I was doing it, and I'd get into an argument with somebody, and you couldn't make them see.
No.
You couldn't make them see.
People that call post-game shows don't want you to make them see. They want to make you see something.
Right. And you would explain something to them, and in the best way possible. I even got to the point where I went to a math professor at the University of Washington.
And what did he say?
And he said, "No, you're right. 500 is, the way I was explaining it was right. They were wrong. Because
either you're over 500 or you're not. And if you are over 500, how many games?"
So we had, I got an explanation from him, and we had him on, and he agreed with it, and still people would call every night. It was almost like I started to think, and I know this is going to sound weird, but I started to think that there was somebody actually making people call
Yeah.
just to break balls.
Well, here's an example of a sports fan who wins tonight, but can't be happy about it. Can't be satisfied, can't be satiated, can't be convinced, can't be settled in his own mind about what it means to win a game. It's not enough. Winning only makes them more miserable. And I'm going to call you and tell you how miserable it makes me and who made me miserable and what they did that made me miserable. But we won. Yeah, but the shortstop kicked that raccoon, that pet raccoon that they had on the bench. He kicked him. You know it. You saw it. You saw the replay. That's what's wrong with this team. They're raccoon kickers.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a certain listen, there's a certain group of people that are going to be upset about anything
Or everything.
or everything, and they're going to, and their easiest outlet is going to be to pick up a phone and call a post game show or call a call-in show. I mean, you have a whole
maybe move to the Middle East. There you go.
It's
You're
called
miserable.
it's called hot talk radio. You have people that are pissed off about everything, and there's no room in their minds for anybody with an opposing view.
Maybe it's good if you have a talk show to have Hot Talk Tuesdays. Tuesdays is Hot Talk Day. Are you miserable? Now's the day to call. Tell me why.
Well, who was it that did the? Our old friend, good friend Kevin Wall. Remember, he used to do that sports graffiti, one line and one line only.
How many lines does that make? Is that 2 lines? 1 line, that's 1 line. And 1 line only, that's a second line. So I get 2 lines. No, you get 1 line and 1 line only, but you said 2.
His first segment, he did that sports graffiti coming out of the box at 7:05, whatever it was. And it was, I mean, the callers weren't as funny as him trying to handle the callers. Because you had to have a great finger on the delay, because people were always trying to throw a fastball by you, and then you had to listen to Kevin. Who was it? His producer, Jay. Remember the kid from Texas?
Jay Garza.
Jay Garza. That poor guy, man, by 10 o'clock at night, his ears were pounding. I mean, I remember I see him being in the station there doing something. The guy's ears would be bleeding. It would be. Because Kevin, of course, had a voice that projected across the room. Across the room, he didn't need a radio.
It could be used as a road grader or a paint thinner remover.
I think he actually served time in Guantanamo as a torture device.
What do I do? Just read him the phone book.
Just start with the A's and call me to get you out of here when you get to the Z's.
We'll get you out of here. Don't you worry. We'll get you out of here.
Yeah. Here's a box of candy bars, an urn of coffee.
So here's a question for you. Is Vladimir Putin alive or dead?
Beats the living piss out of me.
The rumor was that he had died, but the Newsweek magazine opines that it was a test to see who was going to rejoice if the word went out that he was dead. A, B, and C rejoiced. Nobody else did a dance.
Anybody that who had any relative of anybody who was pushed out a window or fed tritonium or whatever that stuff that they feed people is probably a little Irish dance.
Not plutonium.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's not good for you.
It'll kill you.
Yeah, quickly. Well, actually, no, not quickly. It actually kills you slowly.
Yeah, you go to the hospital and then die there.
Yeah, you get to scream in the plane for about an hour or two before you
Plutonium.
get off of the damn thing.
Plutonium? Plutonium? I'll think of it later.
It should be something with a P because you could call it Putin's poison.
Plutonium poison.
But yeah, I hadn't heard that. I
Well, it's just a rumor. So am
uh,
I, for that matter. I've been a rumor for about a week now.
what I did when I wasn't watching sports this weekend, I there's a guy who has posted a bunch of eyewitness newscasts from New York from the 70s
Roger Grimsby.
with Roger Grimsby and Bill Butel.
That was a good team.
Great team. And I picked the first one out this weekend and said, okay, I'm going to watch this. Who knows? And the top story was uh, a bunch of cops had shot somebody with a pair of scissors 14 times.
Just to be on the safe side.
They just wanted to make sure. But
The guy
unfortunately,
with the scissors, he didn't happen to be a tailor, did he?
unfortunately, they couldn't get the package to run. It was first it did so. They go to the story at the top of the news. They billboard it, then they go to the story at the top of the newscast, and
We'll have that for you later.
no sound. So Grimsby comes back on. He says, "Well, we're having some kind of technical difficulty. We'll have that story for you later in the show." And then it moves on to something else. So they come back to it after the first break, and it still won't play. And now Grimsby's getting like physically, you could see him. He's tightening up. And he wasn't with Butelis that night. He was with Ernie Anastas.
Hmm.
And so they tried to go to the story a second time, and it still didn't work. And you could see, Grimsby's getting like, perturbed. And then the third time, they come back from a break, and Grimsby's actually on the phone
To the booth.
probably to the booth, screaming at him. And the camera goes hot, and he just looks up at the camera and goes, "It's my mother. She never leaves me alone." And finally, they got the story to work like the last story in the show. But it's a great piece of it. But that's what I watched. I'm so sick of today's news that I started to look at yesterday's news and realized that it's the same stories. Half of the newscast was taken up with the Palestinian problem.
No.
Yeah. This is 1977. And they're talking about the Palestinian problem.
I saw a special last night about the developments and the changes in the Dome of the Rock. How was Solomon's temple? Or first of all, it was King David's temple. Then his son Solomon rebuilt it. Then the attackers came to town and tore it down. They built up a second temple. Then the Jews put up their temple. Then the Arabs tore it down, and the Muslims put up the Temple of the Rock as it is today. All on the same spot. No one could build a church 2 feet away. They had to tear the one down that was there and build one on top of it. And nothing's changed.
You put it next door. Why can't you put it next door?
Nope. Next door is not good enough. In fact, I will go to war to prevent it from happening next door.
Well, and that's why I don't know that you're ever going to fix the problems there.
They don't want to be fixed. This is much better this way. No, we're not here to fix it. We're here to make it worse.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going that way for 5,000 years.
We're here to make sure it goes on for another 5,000.
Why do you think? Because some country that's 200 years old comes along and says, "Oh, you guys got to fix this thing. You got to live in peace and harmony." We don't know what peace and harmony is.
We don't live in peace and harmony. We don't intend to live in peace and harmony. We don't want peace and harmony. We like it this way, okay? This is how we like it.
And it's your fault because we used to fight each other with stones and sticks.
Now we got all this great
Now we
stuff.
got nuclear weapons. We didn't invent them.
No, I noticed that the latest, anytime you get a spokesman for the Israeli Defense Forces, they say, like you did in World War II, we're doing this to Japan. Like you did in Iran, we're doing this to the
Yeah.
Hezbollah, and we're following your lead, America. This is how you handled it. Now we're handling it.
Well, they got a point. I mean, they have, you know, I couldn't imagine anybody telling the United States that you have to evacuate all of the civilians out of Da Nang before you go in there and fight. You have to get all the people out of well, they did get all the people out of My Lai. They killed them all. That's one way you get them out.
The best part about Ken Burns' documentary on Vietnam was the first episode when it was Indochina and the French were occupying what was Vietnam. It was their colonial possession, as was Cambodia and Laos. A guy named I'm going to ruin the story now. The leader for the North Vietnamese,
Ho Chi Minh.
Thank you very much. Ho Chi Minh comes to the Americans at the embassy and says, "Look, we're going to start an insurgency. We're going to get the French out of here. We hope that we can count on your help. If you'll support us, we'll take care of we'll do the heavy lifting. We'll chase them out. We'll make it our country. We'll be aligned with you. We'll align with the West." And the U.S. said, "Get out of the office. We support the French." And he said, "Well, but we're gonna start the insurgency. The revolution begins now. You should support us." They said, "No, we're not supporting you. You guys don't have a prayer." So Ho Chi Minh went away. Instead of he offered to be our friend. We said, go get bent. He became our enemy, and we were the ones that had to get out.
Well,
so be careful how you make your alignments.
And when you go back to that time, there was an awful lot of anti-Asian sentiment among Congress, among the leaders of this country, of many countries.
Why should we help these people in Vietnam? We don't even know where it is.
Right. We just finished up in Korea, and you see how that went.
That was, I don't know what kind of lies we told ourselves about that, but that was a mess.
So now we have the Vietnamese coming to us, and who the hell are they? What possibly, they got a bunch of rice paddies over there. What could they possibly give us? Do they have oil? Do they have, what do they have that we want? Nothing.
They could have given us
judged in those days.
About 10 years of peace is what they could have given us, but no.
Yeah. Ask any one of the 55,000, 56,000 servicemen that were killed over there.
How did that go for you?
If they wouldn't have made that deal with Vietnam and tried to do something, but we have our we've done many great things in this country, but we've done an awful lot of stupid things as well.
That's what we were trying to tell the Israelis. Before you get all hopped up and cross the border with your tanks and your army, consider what we did and what a price we paid for it by being wrong. Thank you for that advice. We intend to be wrong. This is the whole thing is wrong. We're going to keep being wrong.
Well, but I think it takes on a different dynamic when you're attacked like that. Now, again, you can say, well, there's people who will say, well, the Israelis bomb the Gaza Strip all the time and they kill kids there and all of this happens. See, that's the thing. You look at it and nobody's 100% right and nobody's 100% wrong.
Everybody's just pissed off and willing to continue it like that. We're
right.
willing to go on. Are
Right.
you finished?
Nobody's running
You
to the
guys?
plate saying, "We're sick of the dying."
No, nobody says that.
How do we, how do we stop this? How do we stop somebody from wanting to come over that fence and massacre little babies?
Or how do we stop it for a week, but know that it's going to keep happening again? That's really what we want. We
Yeah.
want the illusion of peace. And remember, I saw a piece last night with on CNN. It was a kibbutz that got hit. They were 1 mile from the border. What made them think they were safe? There was no means to be safe. There was no defense line. There was no fence. There was no IDF. There was no troops on the border. There was nothing to prevent anybody from coming over the fence and doing the horrible things they did. But they thought that they were safe. That was a terrible, tragic tactical error.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, there's a sense of everything's okay.
Everything's fine. We got a
Everything's
new settlement here.
well,
It's our
there were
land
the
now.
troops that was supposed to be there. It was supposed to be protecting them. I mean, you talk about a border, putting up a border wall in some place that needs to be guarded. There's where you need to be. That was where you needed to be guarded.
Well, Netanyahu won't acknowledge it. 75% of the country wants him out. So his way to keep his job is just to keep this war going. You can't throw me out now. We're in the middle of an offensive. This is
Yeah.
not the time. This is not the time to talk about sensible things. This is the
Well,
time to talk about insane things.
it's a tough situation. Um, I understand the state of Israel's feeling in that they feel like they are a small country in the middle of a lot of other countries that would like nothing better than to see them dispatched from the face of the earth. Um, and that's something that they deal with all the time. And I don't know how how do you get Iran? How do you get Syria? How do you get all of these different countries to not want to kill you?
Well, they
No
won't do it
one wants to
themselves.
kill you.
It's easy just to give the money to Hezbollah to keep the pot boiling. Give the money to Hamas to keep it unstable.
So you have to, I mean, you gotta stand behind them.
The funny thing is,
You don't have to like what they do.
the leaders that we're seeing interviewed, Hamas leaders, Israeli government leaders, they're ugly people. They're not happy, sensible patriots of their nation. They're ugly, angry, vengeful people. And they've grown up with the prospect of war right around the corner all their lives. And that's what they want to get done. Let's get this done. Let's kill somebody today. Let's make them pay.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to at some point. I mean, if somebody's going to come and kick your ass like that, you have to fight back. You have to not let them get away with that. But you also have to address the problem of why do they want to kick my ass like that?
Okay, because the last time you kicked theirs.
Don't I mean, isn't that what the sensible thing to do? Now, the macho 1950s thing to do would be to just beat the shit out of him and keep beating the shit out of him every time you see him.
That's it. That's what we're doing.
But at some point, don't you get tired of beating the crap out of each other?
Well, if you'll notice, the people who throw rocks, there's lots of rocks. And if you run out of rocks, one more strike from the Israeli Air Force, boom, more rocks.
Yeah, it's and again, as I've said for years and years and years and years, and I firmly believe this. I don't know that the United States is going to go in there and solve anybody's problem. We get close at times. We get people talking to each other and this and that, but the hatred for each other is so deep.
Every day.
The offense that is taken by the Palestinians because Israel was granted its borders as a country back in the late 40s and 48, um, is you're not going to fix it. You have a country now or a group of people, the Palestinians, who have 50% of their population is like between, and these aren't exact facts,
Under
but
19.
they're kids. These kids have only grown up with war, with getting the crap bombed out of them.
That's it.
You expect them not to hate. You expect them not to look at Jews and say that that these people are good when they're bombing them all the time. I mean, the Jewish people may want to live in peace. I believe that they do. But at some point, you have to address the root problem.
No, that's no fun, Vin. If you do that, it could be over. And we want it to go on for another 5,000 years.
I don't know how. I don't know. Listen, it's not going to get solved while we're alive. I hope that in some way, somehow, for the good of the earth, that they figure out a way to quash it, figure out a way to get along with each other. Although I don't see it around the corner. I don't see it with I didn't 100% see it with Jimmy Carter, because as soon as you had a president of Egypt that wanted to make nice, they killed him. You know?
Anwar Sadat.
Anwar Sadat. Whenever you have a leader on the Arab side that wants to say, listen, we would be much more productive and much better off here if we all learned how to live together and, build stuff for people and get together on this. But no.
We don't know how to do that. We've done this for generations. So this is what we're going to keep doing.
Well, because hate helps keep people in power.
Yeah.
We see it right here with Donald Trump. The more he can make his people hate people, the more money they'll reach into their pockets for, the more motivated they'll be. When you love somebody, you don't want to you want to sit around and love them all day. When you hate somebody, you come home and you're thinking how you're going to kick their ass. How am I going to kick your ass today? Let me count the ways.
And that won't help. That will only make you want to do it again.
It's only going to make the other guy want to kick your ass. And eventually, people will go back and forth kicking each other's ass. And the means that they use to kick each other's ass with will get bigger, will get developed. And one day, somebody's going to, push a button and...
Trouble is, the Gaza Strip's right next to Israel, and the West Bank is also right next to Israel. You can't bomb them with the best bomb you have, because that would be the end of you. But still, I would not put that past Netanyahu. But the atomic bomb will kill us. Yeah, I thought of that, but we're going to go with this plan.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know. I don't. It just doesn't seem to. It doesn't seem. Nothing there seems to lend itself to a peaceful solution of any of these problems. So we're going to continue to hate each other. We're going to continue to get to each other. We're going to continue to do what shouldn't be done, and that is
we're getting really good at atrocities. These are not simple atrocities. These are
right. We've thrown out
the
that
bottom of the bucket
stuff.
Yeah.
If we got to slice a baby in half to make our point, well, we'll do that.
Not every day, but every once in a while, it's good. It just clears the sinuses.
Yeah. Tomorrow is election day. Do you have many major things on your ballot? Anything on your ballot worth before we get out of here talking about?
No, nothing here except that Kristen told me this morning that mandatory masking is coming back.
Yeah, it seems like. Well, I'll tell you, Michael. I just ordered some masks. I just ordered some new masks. I think one of the things that we're going to be hit with this winter is a resurgence of COVID because people aren't going out and getting the updated vaccine.
It's hard to get here.
Yeah, it's not easy to get.
Moderna is a very short supply.
So I'm fully expecting that we're going to be back to masks. I wear one when I go. I've been doing these little deliveries, and I wear one when I go into these nursing homes and stuff because
I don't frighten the old ladies, Vinny.
well, I want them to see who I am.
And there you are.
Hey, if you can't have fun in the pandemic, where can you have fun? All right. If you have any issues on your ballot, please don't forget to vote. I'm going to do mine today and go drop it in the box tomorrow because I still love election day.
Well, what's being decided upon in your neighborhood?
I live in a weird place. I live in a little section of Edmonds that's not really Edmonds. It is a little unincorporated part of Snohomish County that's called Esperance.
Oh, I don't know that.
And we don't, not many people do. And we don't have, we're not voting for the mayor of Edmonds. We're not voting for a lot of the Edmonds. So what we're voting for is the county executive, the county council, the assessor, the auditor, the Superior Court judge in 2 positions, the Snohomish County treasurer, the sheriff, and the county clerk.
Ask the sheriff what's the first record he bought.
I will. With the most controversial election here seeming to be the sheriff.
Have you got a Trump head for sheriff?
Well, I don't know he's exactly a Trump head, but we have it's you know what? It's a man and a woman that are running against each other.
That doesn't help me. Yeah.
The woman seems to be on the right side, and the guy seems to be a little bit more on the left side. The guy has been the sheriff for a while, Adam Fortney. Susanna Johnson is an officer and now wants to be president. Sheriff. Other stuff is hospital districts, Waterview district, and the fire district. And
you, after you vote, you're going to drop it off in the box?
Drop it off at the box. I'm going to go online and research a couple of different things for a couple of these offices and try to figure out who will best serve us for the next years. That's all you can do. I miss working at the polls, though. I got to be honest with you. I have to. I've really been looking into lately getting a gig with the Board of Elections again because I miss.
You've got the experience.
Yeah, I mean, I was, oddly enough, I have 10 years experience as a poll worker and what do you call it? A inspector of elections.
You think the Proud Boys will let you inspect the elections?
Probably not. They'll probably beat the crap out of me. But if that's what I got to do to keep democracy rolling, pal, who am I not to be a hero?
We're counting on you, Mr. Experience.
All right, man. I will catch up with you on Wednesday.
Before you go, what was the first album you bought?
The first album I bought was Every Mother's Son. Come on down to
Whoa.
my boat.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Um,
First album I bought was The Ventures,
wow.
their second album.
As a matter of fact, the first I got, and the second one was The Doors.
Ah.
So those are the two. And then I started my long, illustrious career of joining the Columbia Record Club.
Oh my God. That's when you start buying jazz albums because everything that you wanted off the list is you already have.
It's a penny. Send us 1 cent, we'll send you 12 albums and 1 album every month for the rest of your life until. Oh my God. I mean, I actually developed fake names for. Well, I'll tell you about it another time. The Columbia Record Club. They don't have that anymore.
Nope.
And sometimes I feel like it's all because of me that they don't. Uh,
I remember I bought Sunshine Superman from the Columbia Record Club. Well, Vinny, have yourself a great day. Don't forget to vote, and I'll see you on a wacky Wednesday.
See you on a wacky Wednesday, Pally. Take care of yourself. Peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
What a wine.
See you, Mikey.
See you.